Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Right now, at both locations of Team Honda, the Dream Deal sales event is now even better. For a limited time, get 0% financing on a great selection of certified Hondas. The savings are yours at Team Honda on Segan Lane in Baton Rouge and Team Honda of Acadiana on I-49 just south of Opelousas.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hello and welcome as we start the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. Marty, if you would be so kind, could you just a tad bit there, sir? You want fries with that too? Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your little slice of South Louisiana heaven since the last opportunity we had to spend some time with you and yours. As we typically do, we start today's show with Louisiana news and another government official in small town Louisiana finding himself in legal trouble. The police chief of Plaquemine found himself formally indicted this week and charged with 5 felony counts of malfeasance in office. Police Chief Kenny Payne, turned himself in after being indicted and was released on a $250,000 bond. Most of the charges relate to him allegedly asking for sexual favors in exchange to having charges dropped. Count 3 of the indictment shows that he ordered, allegedly, a lieutenant to delete text messages from one of the victims. The indictment also says that Chief Payne also asked the Iberville Parish Sheriff, Brett Stassi, to, quote, not conduct or cease conducting an investigation of him. Additionally, he's also accused of using the city of Plaquemine's storage building for his personal use. Let me say, for the record, that one of the things that we enjoy in this country is the presumption of innocence unless and until one has been proven guilty. That being said, yet again, not a good look for yet another government official in small town Louisiana. You know, for many years, we have had the reputation around the country of being the most corrupt state in the union. I will leave to you to decide whether or not there is any validity to that claim. In recent memory, we've also had people suggest that maybe it's not that we're more corrupt than any other place. It's simply a matter that we do a better job of rooting out corruption than other places. Regardless of where you stand on that issue, yet again, not a good look for small town Louisiana. In other Louisiana news, I guess I would put this story under the heading, and we wonder where our kids get this stuff from. Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office announcing that they have now arrested a mother, 40 years old, and her 21-year-old daughter for a fight at a gas station that resulted in another woman being shot. The shooting happened on Tuesday in a parking lot on Old Jefferson Highway, where allegedly the two women showed up with a small child in tow, by the way, looking for a fight with a group of women. This is yet another story where parenting, or the lack thereof, is so very obviously on display. The 40-year-old woman, according to law enforcement officials, showed up, quote, looking for a fight, and of course had a handgun in her possession. Now, for the record, as adults, we are expected to govern ourselves accordingly. And in many cases, I use that term loosely, adults. But what is most troubling about this is when you go looking for a fight with your 21-year-old daughter, bringing a handgun to fight another group of women, you bring a young child along with you. After witnessing this, the first question that popped into my head was, what do you think the odds are that this young child that was brought along with these two adult women, what do you think the odds are that this young child, without some serious intervention, will grow up to be a responsible adult? Learned behavior is something that is plaguing our society every single day. Most children are not born into our society and come to us with total or complete lack of conflict resolution skills. To bring a child along with you, knowing ahead of time what you're planning, if it were just the adult, that would be one thing. But to expose a young child to this says a lot about our society. And I know what you're saying, Clarence, I wasn't there, I had nothing to do with it, I wouldn't do anything like that with my child. But the fact of the matter is, somewhere down the road, if this young child gets involved in something like this, in all likelihood, it will stem from the fact that having witnessed this young child feels, well, this is how society solves its problems. I can only hope that at the end of the day, when all is said and done, she will be held accountable. And hopefully, someone will intervene in this young child's life to let this child know that this is not acceptable in a civilized society. Finally, in Louisiana news, the capital city of Baton Rouge continues, like so many other places in our country, dealing with the epidemic of opioid overdose deaths. According to a report issued this week by the coroner, Bo Clark, so far this year, 243 people just in this parish have lost their lives to drug overdoses. The statistics are what they are, and we are steadily creeping up to the number of last year. Last year, 311 people just in East Baton Rouge Parish died from an opioid overdose. These numbers are startling. In just 1 year and 11 and a half months, if I could do some quick math, we are looking at going on 600 people dying from an opioid overdose. The numbers are scary. And the fact of the matter is, we still have about 5 weeks left in the year. And of course, things being what they are, typically around the holiday season, we see those numbers go even higher. Sadly, most of us are painfully aware of the fact that a lot of this problem is stemming from our, or maybe I should say, flowing through our porous southern border. It is a shame. It is embarrassing. It is tragic that our government, knowing what the problem is at the southern border, continues to ignore the problem. Last year, over 107,000 of our fellow Americans died from an opioid overdose. The majority of them fentanyl related. And yet, the Biden-Harris administration continues to ignore the problem at our southern border. You know, if I didn't know any better, I would think this amounts to criminal activity. Not the, well, aside from the actual act of bringing fentanyl across our southern border and distributing it, but those in elected positions refusing to address the problem. If you are one of the fortunate ones that can say, well, Clarence, I understand, that many of our fellow Americans dying, that's something we should be concerned about. But the fact of the matter is, I don't have anybody in my family. I don't know anybody who has suffered from a fentanyl overdose. Well, if you are so fortunate as to be able to say that, at this point, all I can say to you is just keep living, because it's coming. As a matter of fact, just this week, and we have yet to have it confirmed one way or the other, but a business not very far from here found all of a sudden employees sickened, taken to a hospital from what is believed to be fentanyl exposure. I've said, God knows how many times, when the people lead, the leaders will follow. And unfortunately, we, the people, have not raised enough of an outcry to force our elected officials into action. In an ideal world, you would think, Clarence, we shouldn't have to force these people to do this. But the reality of the matter is, yes, we do. And if you wonder about the validity of that statement, ask the families of 107,000 of our fellow Americans last year, the close to 600 East Baton Rougeans in the last 1 year and 9 months, and they'll tell you a completely different story. Just an observation. First break of today's show. It is, of course, Tuesday and the second segment, so you know what that means. When we come back, time for another edition of Now That's Just Stupid. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Buggs Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information, and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, we'll give you fun too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to Roy Fletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Make the most of every moment together in a 3-row Mazda CX-9. Find yours during the season of inspiration.
Make no payments for 90 days on a new CX-9 during the season of inspiration at Team Mazda.
Hi, gang. Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. If you are a regular viewer, and more importantly, if you are not, you may not be aware of the fact that in response to the ever-growing level of stupidity in our country, we've instituted a new segment that we entitled, "Now That's Just Stupid." But the level of stupidity that we're talking about here led us to the conclusion we're not talking about regular, ordinary, everyday stupid, the S-T-U-P-I-D. The stupid we're talking about here is of the magnitude that we've had to come up with a new spelling and a new word. As the graphic shows you, S-T-O-O-P-I-D, as in, now that's just stupid. We start in the state of Rhode Island. Jennifer Lima is a school committee member, and from what I can gather, that is their equivalent of our school board. You have heard, I'm sure, in recent memory, about using the correct pronoun. What a person, despite their biological state, identifies with determines what you should be required to address them as. Well, Jennifer Lima came out last week, and this will tell you everything you need to know. She is also involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in her school district. According to her, sharing a post recently saying that the act of purposely misgendering students is an act of violence and should be responded by accordingly. So let me get this straight. A guy who thinks he's a girl, if I decide I'm going to still call you a guy, then I should be dealt with accordingly. You ever notice something about liberals? How their efforts for diversity, equity, and inclusion only include people that agree with them. Y'all may as well come arrest me now. Because I'm going to tell you straight up. If you have male genitalia, I'm calling you a dude. I don't care what you identify as. I'm going to call you what you are. End of discussion. At some point, y'all, we have got to kick this insanity to the curb. At some point, Americans need to realize this stuff has gone far enough. This woman was actually elected to the position on the school committee. And what chance do you think the well-being of all the children involved enters into her head? That's a rhetorical question. We already all know the answer to it. It's an act of violence and should be dealt with accordingly. No, it's not an act of violence. It's just flat out stupid. Secondly, I guess at some point they felt as though, even though we know better, we're going to have to face up to facts. You've heard me say on more than one occasion, when it comes to the mainstream media, ABC, NBC, my favorite, CBS, they finally had to come out this week and admit. CBS announcing this week that, well, after we did some investigation, we found out that the Hunter Biden laptop story is actually legitimate. Really? 2 years after the fact. And of course, they waited until just after the midterm election cycle was over to have this earth-shaking revelation. If you are one of those folks that still voluntarily gets your news from CBS, you're the problem. You are the problem. 2 years after the fact. Now, the majority of average, everyday Americans knew the day the story broke that it was real. But here is a national news organization that takes 2 years to figure this out. Not to mention, aside from that, how many stories did they run during the 2 years discrediting the story? Oh, well, that's Russian disinformation. 2 years after the fact, they finally come out and acknowledge that the Hunter Biden laptop story is legitimate. Now, you have to ask yourself, if you have just a modicum of common sense, you've got to ask, if all these other people knew that it was legit, how is it that a national news organization didn't? Just a little something for you to ponder. And you should also ask, well, wait a minute. As obvious as this story was, if they lied to me about this story, what else do you think they've lied to us about? And yet, many of you will go home this evening. Many of you, sometime between now and next week, will go to CBS to get your news. That should tell you something, folks. Something as obvious as this. It took them 2 years to come out and acknowledge it. So just imagine what else they've lied to you about in the last 2 years. Finally, saw this story this week. And aside from being stupid, it said a lot to me about us as Louisianians. Louisiana State University announcing that they have received a $1 million grant to help study traffic problems in Louisiana and using artificial intelligence to come up with solutions to help us solve our problems on the highways. $1 million grant. They could have given me, I don't know, 10,000 of it, and I could fix the problem. All you have to do is get on any Louisiana highway, and you'll very quickly see the problem. You know, I am one of those that's of the opinion, when it comes to our taxpayer dollars and problems that are plaguing our society, there are some things that are totally, completely out of our control. There's nothing we can do about them. It's something that requires a higher authority to fix. This is not one of those problems, y'all. You want to fix traffic problems in Louisiana? You don't need $1 million. You don't need a study. You don't need artificial intelligence to solve it. Stop speeding. Stop tailgating. Use your freaking signal lights and put on a seatbelt. End of problem. It won't cost us $1 million freaking dollars to figure out the problem. I say again, obey the speed limit. Stop tailgating. Use your freaking signal lights and put on a seatbelt, and the problem goes away. But now we're going to spend $1 million and study traffic over 2 years to figure out the problem. And you know what's sad about this? In all likelihood, when the study is completed, they're going to come back and say, well, the way to solve all this is to put more patrolmen on the highways, put more police on the highways. Again, y'all, there are so many things in life that are completely outside of our control. This is not one of them. Get in your car today and drive anywhere in Louisiana and look at the number of people that totally disregard the speed limit. Look at the number of our fellow Louisiana drivers that have no clue what a turn signal is for. Look at the number of our fellow Louisiana drivers who have one hand on the wheel, or maybe two knees, and a cell phone stuck in their ear. Look at the number of our Louisiana drivers that are so close behind you, you're wondering, is this my buddy that was in the car with me yesterday? Maybe he left his wallet or something in my car. That's why he's this close to me, trying to let me know, hey man, I need my wallet. Simple stuff, y'all. Simple stuff. And the fact of the matter is, conventional wisdom would say, if you can't do the little things right, what do you think the odds are you can do the big ones right? $1 million freaking dollars. When I could have fixed it like that. Once again, that's just stupid. Bottom of the hour break. Let me get this out of the way. Are you ready for Thanksgiving? Have you pulled your wallet out yet? Yeah. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Buggs Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Right now, at both locations of Team Honda, the Dream Deal sales event is now even better. For a limited time, get 0% financing on a great selection of certified Hondas. The savings are yours at Team Honda on Siegen Lane in Baton Rouge and Team Honda of Acadiana on I-49 just south of Opelousas.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Caught spiders?
Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. Are you ready for Thanksgiving? Marty said nope. Well, if you are getting ready to head out to the grocery store to buy all the things that you and your family traditionally enjoy for Thanksgiving, let me give you a bit of a heads up, as if you didn't already know. Sticker shock. It is anticipated that this year's Thanksgiving family dinner will be the most expensive in history. Thanks, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrats. Thank you. Recent survey out, so that I'll give you the heads up on what to expect. Turkeys up 21% over a year ago. Get this one. If you're one of those folks that likes stuffing with your turkey, 14-ounce bag of cubed stuffing mix is up 69% from a year ago. Frozen pie crusts, for those of you that got to have pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie to go along with your Thanksgiving dinner, you can expect, just for the crusts, to pay 26% more than a year ago. A half pint of whipping cream, up 26%. Frozen peas, up 23%. Dinner rolls, up 22%. Miscellaneous ingredients to prepare the meal, seasoning, things of that nature, up 20%. Speaking of pumpkin pie mix, up 18%. Veggie trays, up 88%. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you. We are expecting, by the way, according to AAA and other travel services, we're expecting 20% more of our fellow Americans to hit the highway for the holiday weekend. You knew it was coming, didn't you? Yeah, you knew it. Gas prices for Thanksgiving expected to be the highest in 10 years. Oh, and it gets better. On top of all of this, as quiet as it's all been kept by the mainstream media, we are on the verge of running out of diesel in this country. And you know what that means, right? You know how to read between the lines. That is going to put yet another burden on the trucking industry. And you know what that means, right? Uh-huh. As bad as it is now at the grocery store and other places, get ready for it to get even worse. What's the old saying? If you bought it, a truck brought it. Meaning, everything shipped into this country, everything manufactured and shipped around the country, everything brought in on a ship, offloaded, and then put on a truck, it's going to cost you more. Every single thing that you buy, get ready, because it's going up some more. And yet, just after the midterms, when Joe Biden was asked, well, you know, the recent polls show close to 80% of Americans feel the country is headed in the wrong direction. Are you planning to do anything different? You know what he said, right? Not a thing. Not planning to do one single thing different. Is that what you voted for? Close to 80% of our fellow Americans feel the country is either heading in the wrong direction or completely out of control. And yet, this guy says, I'm not going to do anything different. You know, when all is said and done, we would like to think that those we elect to serve us have our best interest at heart. But you know, at every passing day, it gets harder and harder and harder to think that way. And sadly, the core group of people that vote for liberals, the core group of people that vote Democrat, take a wild guess which group of people are hurt the most by liberal policies. Minorities? Ding, ding, ding. Got a winner. The same folks that you vote for are the same people that put policies in place that punish you the most. But at the end of the day, orange man bad. At least we don't have to put up with mean tweets. You don't have to put up with mean tweets. But when you walk out that checkout line at the grocery store or the gas station, and your wallet is emptier than it's been in a long time, you don't have to look to D.C. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. You want to figure out where the problem lies? If you vote liberal, the problem is you. 80% of Americans say the country is freaking out of control. And the guy at the very top says, I'm not planning on doing anything any different. Really, y'all? Really? What's the definition, the commonly used definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Now, you can say what you will about the folks up in D.C. It's obvious there is a sickness in Washington. When you get up there and you get in that bubble where you're surrounded by people who will only tell you what they think you want to hear, or will only tell you what's good for the party, you continue to vote for this same group of people over and over and over again. And now you have the unmitigated gall to try to figure out why things are totally out of control. Listen, y'all, I will never claim to be the brightest bulb in the chandelier. I'm just a guy that was blessed by the God that I love with two very wonderful parents that instilled in me more than a modicum of common sense. You don't have to be Einstein to figure this one out. Go back 2 years. What were you paying for gas at the pump? Go back 2 years. What were you paying at the grocery store? Go back a couple of years. What was crime like? Go back a couple of years. How many of our fellow Americans were dying from opioid overdoses, from opioids and fentanyl brought into this country illegally? And then ask yourself, crime, illegal immigration, inflation, gas prices, what's different now than 2 years ago? Now, some of y'all, it's going to take a while for that to sink in. Ask yourself, what's different now as opposed to then? I'll give you a clue. Start at the very top and work your way down. It doesn't take that much to figure out, y'all. And again, at the end of the day, part of the problem has to do with those on the left who no longer believe that they are elected to serve. Instead, they feel that they were appointed to rule. We got a mindset problem in our country, y'all. Those folk work for us. And at the end of the day, they should be accountable to us. Of course, now, for those of y'all that spend your idle time watching ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN LOL, MSLSD, well, bless your little old heart, you don't know no better. I bet you'll realize it when you go to buy the ingredients for the Thanksgiving meal this weekend. If you haven't figured it out already, the next time you go to the gas station, you'll realize it. Oh, and just wait. We're also talking about, despite the fact that he came out and said, we've solved the problem, there is going to be, in all likelihood, a railway strike in the near future. And couple that with the shortage and the increase in price for diesel, you think you're paying a lot for stuff now? Just keep breathing. Just keep breathing, because it's coming. And for God's sake, don't look to Washington for any help, because Joe Biden has already said, I'm not going to do anything different. Good luck with that. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Buggs Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of our Tuesday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. You ever notice how our fellow Americans who identify as liberals, Democrats / progressives are always preaching to us about hate, always preaching to us about diversity and inclusion, and you always come up with ugly names to call people that don't agree with them. Over the years, many of us have lost track of all the ugly names and labels that liberals have come up with to call people that don't agree with them. One of the most recent is election denier. Those who question the validity of any election are now labeled election deniers. And of course, they say it in a way, apply it in a way that demonizes anyone who questions, you stopped counting votes in the middle of the night, put newspaper and blocked off the windows where they were counting the votes, and then vans rolled up 3 o'clock in the morning, unloaded boxes of stuff, and magically the numbers flip-flop from the night before. But you're an election denier. Well, now that the Dems have lost control of the House of Representatives, they have to elect a new minority leader. You know who the front runner is in all of this? Democrat Hakeem Jeffries. Did I mention that this guy is one of the biggest election deniers you'll ever run across? 2019, begging your pardon, 2018. He tweets the following: Russia interfered with our election, attacked our democracy for the purpose of artificially placing someone at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. For those of you that slept through history, that's the White House. He goes on to quote, they were successful in planting an illegitimate president. Kind of sounds like an election denier to me. Just saying. He also tweeted, quote, history will never accept you as a legitimate president. That same year, he also tweeted that President Trump tried to steal the election by using Russian interference. Quote, let's be clear, Donald. The only person trying to steal the election is you and your buddies in the Kremlin. Your victory was illegitimate. Sounds like an election denier to me. But why let that get in the way of the facts? You know, I don't know what's worse for me. The lengths that these folks will go to pull the wool over your eyes, or the number of my fellow Americans that are stupid enough to fall for it. You know, there is this marvelous new invention. You may not have heard about it just yet. In a lot of communities, word gets around slow. But this new marvelous invention allows you to access all the information mankind has ever compiled at the touch of a button. This same marvelous new invention that many of you may not have heard about just yet allows you to go back through time and read what people publicly said. But apparently, many of you are still in the frame of mind where if CNN said it, it must be true. Many of you are still in the frame of mind that if CBS reported it, then it must be true. And you wonder why things are falling apart at the seams. Now listen, I understand. Some of y'all, many of y'all, are so deeply indoctrinated. Many of you, for so many years, have fallen into the trap of believing what people tell you without doing any research or validation on your own at all, that now you find it almost impossible to doubt what you're being fed. If you thought for 1 second that if you believed that and you paid attention in American history, you were actually asleep and dreamt it. At the end of the day, the beauty of this country is that regardless of your opinion, you should have the right to express it. How many times have you heard me say, I despise David Duke. I despise every freaking thing that man stands for. But I tell you what, when the time comes to defend David Duke and the horrible, hateful things he says, I will be at the front of the line to defend his right to say it. Why? Because when all is said and done, that's what holds this country together. You being blessed to be a citizen here, to think the way you want to think, feel the way you want to feel, and have the constitutional right to express it. If I don't defend David Duke's right to say the hateful things he wants to, who will be there to defend me when I say something that somebody else does not agree with? It's uncomfortable, but that's the beauty of the system. And once you allow that system to start eroding, it's just a matter of time before your opinion, and your opinion no longer matters. I don't know about you, but that's not the country that I love, nor is it a country that I want to live in. Before we get out of here, I want to wish you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. And hopefully, despite all the negative stuff out there, hopefully, you will take the time at some point during this holiday season to be thankful for being blessed to live in a country that is the envy of the entire free world. Those on the left will have you believe we are the most evil country on the planet. We're the most evil bunch of folks that's ever had a country on the planet. If that's true, why do you think it is that people still will swim through shark-infested waters to be a part of what we have? If that's true, what they will have you believe, why do you think it is people will still take their lives in their hands and march across burning desert sands to be a part of what we have? And why do you think it is, if what they tell us is true, that the Hollywood elites and the liberal elite that tell us, well, if this happens, I'm leaving the country, and not a single one of them have left yet? Just a question. Just a question. My time's up, y'all, and I gotta go. But this day, probably more so than any other day in history, I give it to you. You know what? You are spot on. You're 100% correct. America, we are not perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is, and God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize by now that he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Best news you gonna get all day. There ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you soon. God bless.